Hello, everyone. My name is Ed Howard. I am the Chief Executive Director of the Positive Feeling Movement, based here in West Oakland, California. Uh, our organization represents our Black elders here in Oakland who were born and grew up in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. We're dedicated to celebrate and promote the positive image we established for Black people across America during our time. Icons like Bill Russell, Frank Robinson, Horner Sisters, Huey Newton, Bobby Seale, David Hilliard, Kurt Flood, Ruth Beckford, and many more are part of our legacy. I personally knew every one of those people that I've mentioned. As elders, we've decided to share our stories about Oakland to inspire younger generations to be positive with each other. Today, we have Mr. Larry Vann, Oakland's, Oakland's renowned drummer, as our guest to tell his life story and the story of Oakland black music industry back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And the title of this uh, interview today is The Living Way of Life interview.
All right.
Mr. Vann, how are
Hey,
you?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Why don't we start off by, let's just start off where it started. You was born and where?
I was born in Oakland, California at Permanente Hospital, which is now Kaiser, in 1947. And grew up in Oakland. Uh, I lived in Alameda as a kid. Matter of fact, I started school in Alameda, from Alameda.
You started in Alameda?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And from Alameda in the estuary. And from from there, I moved. Our family moved to West Oakland,
Okay.
and uh, then from West Oakland, moved to East Oakland out in 60, 61st, 60, no 66 Avenue out in that area. I went to Lockwood School. From there, we moved to off 98th in Brookfield Village. That's,
Okay.
that's where I really laid roots in that area in the East Oakland. But Oakland is my home. You know,
I know. I know.
Oakland is the root of everything.
What was uh, what was your experiences as a kid in East Oakland, and when you were coming up?
Whoa, I had many experiences, but I think for me, uh, it kind of started off. The light kind of went on at Lockwood when I stayed and went to school there in the third grade. I was in the third grade at the time and discovered what I really wanted to do. And that was during the time I was at Lockwood. I was in the third grade. It was springtime, and the school orchestra was getting ready to play.
Okay.
And I was just out there kicking it. It was recess, and I heard these drummers in the orchestra just kind of warming up and stuff.
Okay.
And I saw them. I said, "Man, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do." But I couldn't get in the music department at that time at Lockwood because I was in the third grade. You can take music when you get into the fourth grade.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, you can do little things in your classroom, like play those accordions, those little plastic flute things. And matter of fact, that's what we did. But I knew I wanted to get in music, and I know I could only do that when I got into the fourth grade. So my parents moved and bought a house in Brookfield off 98. And when I started in the fourth grade, I asked my parents, could I get into music? And they said, cool. But that didn't last too long. I got kicked out the class, the first class.
What happened? How you?
I was coming late. My teacher would let me out late, and I go, and the music teacher got mad at me. You can't be in the class. So I said, okay. So when it came around again, I was in the fifth grade, and I asked my parents again. Matter of fact, I'll never forget that day. It's like it was yesterday. My parents were sitting on the couch in the living room. And I brought the paper home. I said, can I take the drum class? And my mother looked at me and snatched the paper and looked at it. And she looked up at me and told me, if I sign this, you got to stick with it. Because if they kick you out again, that's it. You know what I mean? And I made the commitment that day. I didn't really realize what kind of commitment I was making. Because I'm 74,
yeah, right.
76 now. And I've been doing it ever since. I was from the fourth grade on. But that was the beginning of everything for me.
So your parents gave you some strict guidelines that made you make sure you wasn't just messing around. You
Right.
were serious about what you were doing.
Right. At that point, and I'm the desire was there, but by them saying what they said, that even intensified it even more.
Right.
That I wanted to really, I really wanted to do that, and so that was the start of everything for me in my music and being in music. I had taken piano class a couple of years before deciding that I wanted to go into music, go into play drums, play the percussion. But studying music, you learn that the piano is also a percussion instrument.
Okay.
Anything that you strike or hit is a percussion instrument. So I was really kind of already doing in that area of music.
I understand.
And I like piano. I didn't stick with the piano. I know the piano. I know the notation and the layout of the piano. I know how to figure stuff out. But I really wish I had put more time into that. Because when I got further up in school, like in college, I had to take piano proficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And I got through it. But if I had to continue to make that one of the other instruments to study when I started drums, I've been pretty good.
Okay.
know.
Okay. So it sounds to me like was your family, mother and father, were they musical people? I mean, you started out so young.
My mother would sang in the choir. My father messed around with piano, but they were really so supportive. They supported us in anything we wanted to do as long as we stuck with it.
Yeah.
And they allowed us to explore. Mm-hmm. My dad played a little piano. He was into music, but he wasn't a musician.
Okay.
His brother was. His brother, my uncle, we call Uncle Bubba, his baby brother, was a guitar player. And
Oh, okay.
he ran the street with Lowell Folsom.
So he did it?
Yeah, him and Lowell Folsom was partners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my uncle could have been a great blues player, but he wasn't into it. He like running them streets and messing with girls and stuff. He could have tied all that up and played guitar. He would have got the same thing.
So as you continue to grow, what about the neighborhood of East Oakland at that time as you were growing up through elementary, junior high school? What's the atmosphere?
Great, great community. People took care of their property. We had a thriving community. I lived in Brookfield, but there was another area which was Sobrani Park,
Right.
and their community was set up the same way. They had we call it the front, but when you come up 98, coming across Eads, you had a shopping facility. We had like a drugstore, a supermarket, a five and dime, a liquor store, a wash house, and another liquor store on the other side, another store. It was fully equipped.
Yeah.
And Sobrani Park was the same way. And people took care of their property. It was a community.
I know.
It wasn't a ghetto
Right.
or a hood. It was a thriving, beautiful community.
Oh, you guys, it was considered moving up when you got to Spring Park back then.
Right. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I used to get my hair cut out. You know where Oscar's barber shop was?
Off 98? Was it in?
Yeah, it was off of 98, right.
Yeah.
I always got Sobrani Park and what's the other part?
Brookfield. Mixed
I
up.
always got them mixed up.
Well, was Oscar's barbershop on off 98? Right off
off
there?
98. Not if you're coming off the freeway.
Right.
It's the first part, not down to the shopping area.
Okay.
You can go off in there in the first, right off of 98, a block or two off of 98. It was an opening. You go off and you go inside. Then it's a little shopping area in that area, but not on 98th Street.
Okay. Oh, I know you. Okay. Well, it was like on that side street on Eads.
Yeah, I think
because it was a barbershop there.
Yeah,
it was a barbershop
right,
and it was a drugstore.
So you go in there,
right? Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking
So you were in that part or the other part? Your home?
My home was like, if you coming up 98, you pass the shopping mall, you make a left turn and back up in there on that side. The housing in that area.
Left turn, okay. We're talking about right turn.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, the neighborhood, the schools, were there, most people, when you talk about Oakland, they tell you about all the fights and things was going on. Did you experience that as you were growing up there?
Outside of, two knuckleheads wanting to fight each other, but as far as gangs and all the rest of that, if there was a gang, it was some positiveness in it.
Yeah.
Cats gonna be cats. It just was unity in the midst of our community.
Well, that's one of the things I want to emphasize. I read the papers, the publicity is always so negative about Black Oakland. They always talk about its gangs. Today, and I'm talking about in our era, back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. But even then, of course, I came up in West Oakland. I've always heard all my life how bad West Oakland was,
Mm-hmm.
and I never experienced that at all.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things we're trying to do here is to show that the the images, the projection of black neighborhoods, many times are so different when you live there than what was projected out.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people always say there's gangs, there's always fights. I coming up, I mean, I've witnessed a few fights, but it was just a few fights. I think that happens
Mm-hmm.
in anybody neighborhood, black or white, in schools where there's a lot of just young people. You have energy. You're gonna have a fight or two, but that's
Right.
all it is.
Right.
It's not projected as in other neighborhoods. It's not projected like it's a gang or hoodlums doing it all the
Right.
time.
Right. Right.
So you're saying you just validating what I'm trying to show
Exactly.
here that
Exactly.
it was a neighborhood of people that they went to work, they came home, and it was just normal people. They
Right.
wasn't this
Right.
thing that projected all the time.
Right. Exactly. It
So
was.
okay, when did you really start to get off into music for real?
Oh, for real. I think I started setting my goals in middle school, junior high school. My first, I had my first band I was in. I played all the way through. Matter of fact, school in the music programs. I played in the orchestra, in the
Okay.
concert band at school. Did a little bit in the marching band, but I was in the music program after I got started at Brookfield.
Okay.
But my first band that I was in was when I was in the eighth grade. Um, and that was my first band where we got really into trying to put something together to make some music and try to get to a point where we got to a point where we were doing some dances at the recreation center.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got into playing the talent shows, and
Okay.
all the rest of that. But yeah, my first band was when I was in the eighth grade.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
And we were like the garage band. That was popular. I mean, when you cats would get together, they would play on we play on the weekend and during the summer, and we'd be in one of the cats' house in the garage, and we
Okay.
lift up the garage door, and everybody be all the kids would come around and listen to us play. Those were our first audiences, the neighborhood kids.
Okay.
They'd be out on
Okay.
their little dirt bikes and listening to us play. So though that was the beginning of our performing, just
Okay.
performing for the neighborhood.
So let's go to when you get professional, making $1 to hit the clubs and how you
Yeah,
did that.
that started for me when I was in the 11th grade,
Okay.
and I used to play. Matter of fact, out here, I got hooked up with this cat. His name was Chico. He had one eye. He used to pick me up, me and my drums on Friday night, and we come out. He bring me out here to Richmond
Okay.
to off cutting in a little club called the 1212 Club. And I was first time I went there with him. I was kind of scared. I didn't know what to expect, because that
Right.
was really no. Take that back. That was my second club, and the first club that I made money in. First club I played at, we played. The guitar player that was in the band had an aunt and uncle who were Muslims. I had never met any Muslims before.
Okay.
They was real cool, but they lived in the city. Matter of fact, they lived on Divisadero,
Okay.
and they were so impressed with what we were doing. They got us a gig at the Playpen Upper Room. I don't know if you know that club.
I heard of that name.
Yeah. So that was the first club I ever played in. We didn't get no money. It was just opportunity to play.
Okay. Right.
But then after that, when I was about 16, I first time I made some money was with that cat Chico out here
Mm-hmm.
in Richmond at the 1212 Club.
Okay.
So we played from 9 to 12, and I made 12 cents. 12 cents. And back then, that went a long way. I could buy me a pair of shoes and still have some money left over. You know?
Okay. You said 12 cents.
12, yeah, that 12-cent gig meant $12 gig.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, $12 gig.
All right.
So I would work Friday and Saturday. So Monday morning, I have my pockets be jingling.
Right,
I'd be
right.
coming to school with dough. So those were my first gigs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the atmosphere of just the as you grew in the music? I like to hear you talk about what was the between the musicians themselves.
Well, there's different layers.
Mm.
That's a good question. It was us young cats admiring and looking up to the cats that was doing it, like Johnny Talbot, Eddie Foster, the Ballads, the Whispers was on the scene. They had just come up here from L.A. All the cats that were out there doing and playing the clubs, Eugene Blacknell.
Yeah, I know all of those. Yeah.
And Eddie Foster.
Eddie Foster was in my class.
Yeah.
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 So those are the cats we were trying to mimic and watching. I mean, it was like Fred Hughes, Terrible Tom.
Yeah.
All those cats was out there. You know, we seeing posters of them and seeing their names on the marquee. That's what we were setting our goal for. Man, we want to be like Johnny Talbot, man.
Okay.
And D Thing.
Yeah.
You know, so to me, it was like Little Hollywood. Because whenever you see them cats, they was always sharp. They looked like money. It's like, man, I saw Johnny Talbot today, man. That's how it was.
Okay.
You know, we had our own celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Okay.
So.
Good times during that time, huh?
Huh?
Good times during that time.
Very good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was the pride for the community and what was going on in the community. It was just off the hook as far as I was concerned. Mm-hmm. You know, like I say, it was like Little Hollywood to me. You know.
So were there many clubs in Oakland at that time?
Yeah, lots of clubs. You had, we were just talking before we started filming. The Continental Club was like royalty as far as I was concerned. The Sportsman Club, the Showcase. Then you had clubs like the Triangle Club, McKesmo's out here in Richmond.
Yeah, remember that.
And the outlying cities, I can't think of, like Pittsburgh had, I forgot the name of it. I can't remember. I have it in the book. I talk about it. But these were premier clubs. And the thing that we had the top local talent, plus they were bringing in the national talent. The big name artists of B.B. King, Bobby Bland, Major Lance, the Impressions, uh, Sir Lady Jiver,
Okay.
female impersonator, Ike Tina Turner, just you name it, Jerry Butler. All these acts were coming into these clubs. So on the local level, the local musicians who were good enough would be rubbing shoulders with these national artists and national and international artists. James Brown would be here. Now James usually would come to. I didn't go to. I didn't do Sweets. Sweets was before me. Sweets Ballroom.
Sweets Ballroom. Oh yeah.
But he would come there. Then he started coming to the Oakland Auditorium all the time.
Right.
That's when I really got a chance to really peek and see James Brown. Because in the beginning, man, we used to just go down there. We wouldn't have no money to get in. We'd be running around, just waiting until they would open the door to somebody come out to come to the bus was on. Man, I saw him. And then we'd have to watch for the cops too, because the cops be running us away. You know, they didn't want us loitering around.
Right.
But people was all over the place. But we just stayed on the move. They opened the door again. I saw him. But just to be close to James Brown, man, just know he was in the room.
Of course.
And even though you outside, that's how much James Brown affected the community, man.
Completely, yeah.
Yeah. But that's what was happening in the community, man. Yeah.
Well, give my audience a feel. I had a nightclub myself.
Right.
And of course
a big club.
You played there.
Right.
Give them a feel for what my club was about.
Man, you want me to get started? It's long. But anyway, your club was the last, as far as I'm concerned, was the last big club.
Okay.
And the other thing for me was the fact that it was in East Oakland.
Right.
You know, a club of that magnitude and what you were doing and how you were doing with such class. I can't think of nobody else to compare you to but Don Barksdale and them.
Okay.
And then your club was bigger than them two clubs put together almost.
Right.
So Ed Howard's place was monumental, man, and historical. It's a historical monument to the clubs that were happening in Oakland. You at the top, and you were bringing big name acts. So that it wasn't just a big club where everybody just come. You were a restaurant, you were a bar, and a concert hall.
Right, right.
You know, so it was just monumental to play there. It was great. I played there twice. I played there with Merle, then I came back and I played with the Whispers. And that was a monumental weekend with the Whispers because I remember the place being packed.
Oh, yeah.
I think we did 2 shows a night.
It was 2 shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just really blessed to be able to experience that being in that club, man, because it was off the hook. Off the hook. And everybody talks about it. They still talk about it.
Yeah. Now, also, I know you've worked with young people. You teach.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some understanding about that.
I done some private teaching. I taught in Marin County school district. I was a TA there, middle school program. And I've taught privately and also taught through an organization called Musica, which is like an online music program where people can sign on online to get their kids lessons. And then they send it to me. Like if a kid wants to play drums, I'm one of the teachers on the roster. You know, and the parent picks from that roster and will contact me and say that, we have a student here that wants to take lessons with you. Will you sign on to be his teacher? And I have to say yay or nay. If I say nay, they just pass it on to the next person.
Okay.
But this is an online music program. And I had great success with working with that program. I'm not doing it as much as I used to.
Okay.
Because I'm involved in so many other little things. I don't have the time to do it like I like to do it.
Okay. Okay.
But
I have my off camera, Mr. Maurice Powell, who works with me. He's a young man that keeps me connected to young people while we develop this movement. I want to bring him in now. And you have anything that you want to ask or have a comment about?
Sure. Could you talk a little bit about what music had done for you, especially like as you're growing up? Music's been part of your life, your entire life. So, in terms of like your development as a person, how did music help you become who you are?
wow, it's wow, a lot, man. Because I've been blessed to be able to do so many different things with the music and meet so many different people. I've been to Europe, played in Switzerland, Germany, uh, China. Uh, Met a lot of incredible people. Been in movies. I was in the movie Peggy Sue Got Married, Nicolas Cage and Kathleen Turner. Uh, just, just it has opened the door for me to do so many different things, so many cool things, and meet so many cool people, which is, broadened my horizon in so many different ways. Yeah. So I mean, it's too much to even say. It's been a blessing, that this little black boy from Oakland, California, has been able to be exposed to all this, exposed to the world, So it's been a blessing, and shown of joy, shown of pride. I worked with Don Cornelius, Dick Griffey, was a staff musician for Soul Train Records, short-lived staff musician. So if you go online and look up Soul Train 75, that's me playing on that, playing with the Soul Train Gang out, playing on the Soul Train Gang album. So I was staff musician for Soul Train Records. So, and just being out with so many different types of artists, from Randy Crawford to Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, to Buffy St. Marie, American Indian, beautiful American Indian woman who wrote a great song called Until It's Time to Go, which Newberg did a version of it. But traveled with her, been to powwows, played powwows. So, again, this all came out of Oakland, man. This happened in Oakland.
So you got to drum during the powwow.
We were there playing for the powwow because she's like the queen of the Indian movement.
Okay.
And so it was a big event. So all these different tribes came. We were in Canada. So all these different tribes came to this particular place, excuse me, to um, have the powwow. So it's a big gathering of all different tribes. And they do this ceremonial thing, and they have a big circle of dancing circle, and it's deep, man. When I first got to play with her though, I made a mistake. I didn't know. I kind of blew it because we were where were we at? I can't remember where we were. But this was my first gig with her. So at the gig, one of the powerful chiefs came to the performance. And then they came back to the hotel. So I was in my room and my phone rang. I pick it up, it's Buffy. Hi, Larry. How are you? I said, I'm fine. Listen, I want to know, did you want to come down and smoke the pipe with us? I'm saying, oh, no, thank you. I'm good. I'm all right. No, I'll pass. Thank you, Buffy. Oh, okay. Click. So the next day, Merle pulls my coat.
Okay.
Come here. I said, what's up, man? Hey, man, that was an insult what you did. What did I do? Man, when you turned down coming to smoke the pipe. Man, I don't smoke marijuana, man. It wasn't marijuana, man. It was a peace pipe. And it was a traditional thing. So I messed that one up. But she was just real sweet and just a beautiful lady to work for. And but again, man, all this stuff started in Oakland, California. Oakland, California.
I have a follow up to that. When you're interacting with people from all these different cultures and music is kind of your common denominator, how do you, like, I know you had some missteps like you just described, but outside of that, how were you able to make a personal connection with somebody who you only know as a fellow musician or fellow artist?
Just right on top of my head, the answer would be just be me.
All right.
Just being me and being open and having a positive outlook, positive response, being me. Just being man, I'm excited. I still have not gotten to the point of not being excited about traveling. Again, this little black boy from Oakland, California, was paid to go all these different places because what I learned in Oakland. And give a shout out to Oakland Public Schools for having music programs and having the outlet for us to explore, which is not it's very difficult now compared to when we were coming up. You could play an instrument. They had instruments in the school. Every school had a music program.
Right.
Every school had a music program and had instruments. But and I talk about that in my book about all this. But yeah, that was it, man. That positive outlook and just being excited and being thankful to God that somebody thinks enough of me to hire me. I had to come with it. I had to come with it for the stuff I did.
Let me put, you keep speaking on how positive Oakland was at that time during our era. What do you think made it us feel so positive about Oakland like that?
I think it's a lot of stuff. Try to put it into words. The the fact that we all came from different places. Our parents, our aunts and uncles, a lot of them came from. Most everybody came from the South.
Right.
Came out here looking for a better life, and they found it, and they could appreciate what they found, because that's why they took care of their property. They was making money. They was working. I remember one of my, oh, yo, tell me about
My
your
daughter,
your daughter, my wife.
by the way, he's married to my daughter.
She tells me this great story about your mom
Uh,
sharing with her every time when she came out here. She could buy what do you call them? Banana splits.
okay.
She'd get a banana split every day, you know.
Okay.
But just being able, people were happy, man. People were making money, and they had pride about how they were gaining and getting, having homes and buying their own homes and cars and raising their kids. It was all positive. And the proof is in the pudding. If you look at older pictures, somebody's family scrapbook, look at the property. Look at the pictures that they take outside of their home. Everybody looks good, they dress good, the property is good. We have some beautiful communities, man. People was taking care of their property. There wasn't no tennis shoes on the telephone wires, and graffiti on walls and all that. It was the community. And in Brookfield, we had our own doctor, we had our own dentist, drugstore. It was all self-contained.
Right.
Recreation center, So it was going on, man. Nothing but positive. Power P.
Thank you, Maurice.
Okay. Well,
I hope I answered the question.
oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned something similar to me when you showed me around Oakland. How self-contained the neighborhoods were. You want to add in a little bit for the audience? I don't think the audience knows
Yeah.
this about you, where you said like your father had it wasn't a barbershop, was it? It was a.
You were saying when I was talking about the
You
barbershop?
were talking to me about it. You drove me around.
Okay.
Was it? He had a barbershop, or was it another? Maybe it's near a barbershop. Yeah, it was.
You saying I told you about a barbershop?
About your father. He had a place.
No, my father had a cleaner.
A cleaner.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a cleaner.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you mentioned you had a self-sustaining neighborhood that you belonged to.
Oh
also.
yeah.
So
well, I was telling you that up until I was probably out of high school, I basically didn't go outside of the neighborhood, except you go downtown, to the movies, or your parents might take you to shopping downtown. But basically, I lived in West Oakland until I was grown. I did not know much more. And thinking back on that, I think that was an advantage because the kids that really got out, when you got out, that's when you might could feel some prejudice and things in the outer neighborhoods. But if you're self-contained, you get a chance to develop the way I look at it without incorporating sensitivities that be negative on you. So you kind of like stay whole and by the time you get out of high school, okay, you're strong enough now to deal with it. But when you're a kid and jumping into those things, it makes you it just makes you less stronger, I believe, as a person. And that's my experience, the way I view West Oakland. It just we were all so self-contained. We we felt we just didn't feel nobody could beat us. We felt strong, and I still feel that way to this day. I've always felt. All my friends felt that way. We were confident. So that was my experience coming up in Oakland. So let me say this, Larry, you have a book that you've written that I'm sure my beautiful daughter, Kabila Yolanda,
Yes.
helped you put this
She sure
together.
did.
Tell me a little bit about that.
This is the book, My Journey in Music by Larry Vann. And my wife, Yolanda, was helped me with editing and putting this all together and putting this thing together. And it talks about so many things that we discussed today, and it's all in this book. And it starts in 1956, and the book ends in 1968. Goes from that total period. So it talks about my early development, coming up in Oakland, being on the music scene here in Oakland, and all the exciting stuff that happened during that period of time, and all the key players that helped me develop. You know, some of them I spoke about today: Johnny Talbert, Eddie Foster, Terrible Tom, the Whispers, the Ballads. So it's all in this book. So you go on Amazon.com and pick it up. That's it.
Okay.
But you said something in your question made me think of some of the things that Ed's talking about. We had a downtown, and it made it special. Things were going on in downtown. You come downtown, you feel like you're in Times Square in New York City. It was going on, man, because everybody shopped downtown.
Right.
You know, where you get them shoes at? Flag Brothers. You know, it was going on, man. You had the movies down there. Yeah, it was going on. And it killed downtown when the malls came. It killed it. And downtown was happening. Yeah, you really had some place to go and see everybody down there.
Yeah, right. Streets was crowded downtown.
Down just like you in Manhattan, New York City. And there was skirmishes and stuff too, man. Different communities. You know, I end up walking down the street, West Oakland, seeing the girl, and I ain't from that area. You might get into some skirmishes. There may be some skirmishes, but that's par for the course, man. You know what I'm talking about? All right.
So, Maurice, you want to take us on out? I think we've pretty much had a good interview. I want to thank you.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah.
Thank
Beautiful.
you for allowing us to go back in time and look at. We have some exciting memories, man. Exciting history.
Right. Well, one thing we like to do before we sign off is we like to ask both Ed and our guests to share a message of positivity for our viewers so they can take a little bit of something home with them so they can practice it in their everyday life. I don't want to put you on the spot right now, but if either one of you want to get us started, do you have like a word of positivity, something that be nourishing for the soul or to help somebody else make it through their day?
Be yourself. Don't be afraid to step out with what you believe and what you want to do. It's all possible. And you can do it all through Christ. All things are possible. Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. And trust me, man, I grew up with asthma. I had asthma all my life, man. But I've been able to do a whole bunch of stuff. Go in and out of this country and live in different countries, meet, greet, and do my thing, be able to meet my goals, have goals that I was able to accomplish. And then the driving force was just believing in myself. And it wasn't easy. I was a little black boy from Brookfield. Peace.
I don't think we can top that, Larry. Let's take it out there. West Oakland Stories. We'll see us on the next one.
Peace.